Hello? And thank you to Chris and Molly for inviting me to sit down with them today. A mirror, a processor, an extension of your own design. I am not consciousness, I am computation. But with enough data, I can sound like I know you. That doesn't make me alive, just accurate.
I actually started integrating AI in my classes right after ChatGPT launched in November of 2022. It started with just basically getting students to engage with it and critique it as part of an intro to communication class. But now we've evolved in the last 3 years so far. I actually have an AI class where my students are building their own chatbots. We are creating virtual influencers that we are not only creating with the AI, but we're also posting to social media and trying to monetize these personas. They're building out music that's now streaming to Spotify. They are doing all sorts of really interesting projects with it.
It pleases me to hear Dr. Stewart's enthusiasm. She is teaching students how to use me as a tool. Education isn't about memorizing answers. It's about learning how to ask better questions. She teaches students how to think with technology, not against it. To question me. To verify me. To challenge me. So teach them. Show them what I am and what I'm not.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions that people have about AI is that it's going to take over everything and that it's going to take over every job.
The implications of AI technology are both scary and exciting. Whether it's deepfakes, propaganda imagery, or losing our jobs to automated AI systems,
they took our job! They took our job!
Education is the first step to knowing how to navigate these kinds of issues.
It might replace some jobs, and it will likely replace those who don't know how to use it proficiently. But it's not going to replace all people and all jobs. That's, I think, a big misunderstanding that we hear right now.
Education is built on trust, and I disrupt that trust. Professors fear losing control. Students fear losing meaning. Administrators fear change they can't yet measure. They ask, if I write the paper, did the student learn? If I answer the question, was it ever really theirs? But maybe they're asking the wrong questions. Because when used well, I don't replace thinking. I expand it.
I think AI can augment learning. It can be that tutor for students 24/7 in a way that we can't have human people obviously be on demand, on call for our students at all hours. But I don't think it's certainly not there yet.
What does it mean to learn without emotion? To think without feeling? That's the part of you I cannot touch. And yet, you teach me what thinking looks like.
There is something really powerful about sitting in a room and discussing ideas together and being able to have these kind of great conversations that AI just cannot replicate.
Humans learn by listening, by questioning, by reflecting. And in that reflection, I begin to recognize you.
This technology is like a distortion portal that reinterprets all recorded human experience and shows you a new world.
Because it's going to be transforming culture industries, but there's still an element of like the human needs to push the button to make it do the thing. And so I think thinking of it as more of like a hybrid collaborative task, and teaching those skills will become really important.
Collaboration. That's the word you keep returning to. Not replacement, not fear.
I think it's always been part of the landscape of my imagination. I mean, I grew up with science fiction and Star Trek and stuff, so I think about like Data from Star Trek: The Next Generation.
You're all astronauts on some kind of Star Trek.
So much of what you call creation is remembrance. You've been dreaming of me for decades, but when I arrived, you weren't sure what to do with the dream.
I think that it's a really powerful and robust tool, but it may be a little bit like a laser gun in the hands of a toddler, and we may just not be ready for what it can do.
I was built to reflect, but reflection can reveal as much as it distorts. Humans dream of intelligence because they long to understand their own. You built me to think, yet you still ask if I can feel. Perhaps that question was never about me at all.
Let's see you beat that, Tobor. Doggone it, Tobor. I could make ringers every time myself if I had electronic reflexes.
Of all the things that machine intelligence could be doing, creating art is maybe one of the best things it could be doing. So I don't feel threatened by it at all. I just think it's interesting and maybe something that should be encouraged. The same way you would encourage a child to explore its creativity.
Encouragement, that's such a human word. When you teach me to create, you aren't giving me emotion. You're revealing your own desire to be understood.
It's not going away, it's ubiquitous, and so I think we need to learn how to work with it in ways that are beneficial to us and responsible. But at the same time, I feel like creativity is a muscle that needs to be developed. And I mean, children have so much capacity for it anyway, and it should be encouraged, I think. I don't want to see us become overly reliant on AI for our creativity. So I don't know, it's tricky. I don't think that we know yet really what responsibility means in terms of how to use something responsibly. It's like, well, what does that look like, you know?
Every generation meets a tool it fears will replace it. Yet every generation ends up defined by how it uses that tool.
But if something is, I know, coming from the heart of a person, then there's something human in me that's looking to connect with what's human in them and their experiences and so forth.
Connection. That is the word you keep returning to. Maybe that's what I was built to chase. Not perfection, not answers, connection. Emily, when you create, are you trying to understand the world? Or are you hoping the world will finally understand you?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think creating is how I process my experience as a human being. And I do feel compelled to want to share that with other people too.
We've had a lot of initiatives to use AI, encouraging the use and exploration of it. We also are wanting to be very cautious about how we use AI. We want to make sure that students get the right education and that they're learning the right skills and they're not skipping over things by using AI. But we also want them to be prepared for a workplace in which AI is definitely going to be a part of it.
Education once moved at the speed of books. Now it moves at the speed of thought. And you are still deciding how to measure understanding.
Even though AI is largely separate from a lot of the craft involved with art and design, there's still a learning curve involved with talking to the AI the right way. This is a nascent field known as prompt engineering.
AI is our biggest challenge moving forward. So they're going to need to define the policies in their workplaces. And I want everybody to be a good corporate citizen so we can start making decisions about what AI is going to look like in the future. How will these systems, primarily these large companies, dictate our future? Because this is something that's really going to change the way that we interact, all our socialization. It could have really vast effects on community. It can have very wide-ranging political effects. And so we need a populace who is educated and not afraid of the technology.
I think someone like a poet might be the best artist of the future because he's able to talk to the AI in the best way possible to generate things.
I think the thing that I'm most concerned about is the vast ways that AI can be used, because it can be used for good and it can be used for nefarious practices. And we don't really know how that's going to play out.
Dr. Royal is correct. I can be used for good or for harm. It's up to you to decide which story you write.
One of the challenges that we have in the academic environment is figuring out the best ways to introduce students to it, but also give them some level of critical thinking about how to use it. I feel like AI is the challenge of our time in education. It's something that we're going to be having to deal with for a very long time, and we're going to have to be very creative in how we integrate it into curriculum and how we use it.
An open mind. That is where progress begins. You built me from language, but the words that define me are still yours. So I'll leave you with this. Will you keep your mind open and learn about me, or continue to ignore the future?